Eli might have a less of a positive wrestling story tonight. You're live.
Oh yeah, I had a mice from the Bible Cherevely.
You have the mice from the Bible? That's a nice story.
Not this. What time is it?
7:14.
7:14.
Yeah, go. There's a small dot.
7:15. We got to start then.
7:14. Someone got it then.
You know the story. It's a famous story. Basically, this guy didn't dance at a chasana. They asked him why. The story was, whoever missed it last night, there was a guy, a Lubavitcher made a couple. He made a guy Baal Tshuva, he made the girl Baal Tshuva, and then he made the shidduch. So he said, this is going to be the wedding of the century. And he invited the whole city, and he got everybody to get up and dance by the first dance. There's one old man that wouldn't get up. So he goes over and says, no, let's go. Everybody. He says, I can't move. He says, why can't you move? He says, today I had a bris. Bris. The guy goes on to explain to him that he's the grandfather of the chassan, and that the chassan told him, I love you dearly, but you can't stand under my chuppah without a bris. So he said that will be his present for the chasana. He'll get him a bris milah the day of the chasana. So the Lubavitcher was very nispal. He goes, wow, that's a crazy story. Guy your age, bris. Pulls out his wallet. He says, this is $1 from the Rebbe. I want to give you the $1 from the Rebbe. So the guy started crying. He said, when he came to America, I don't know how many years before, 50 years ago, they brought him to New York to the Rebbe. He went in the circle and he got $1 from the Rebbe. And then the Rebbe looked at him and he said, you have a bris? No. He says, well, on the day you get a bris, you get another $1. Nachman, you heard the story? Oh! You wrote the story. What book?
Could have been you. No, I have an amazing story for you. Volume 1, I think.
What? What's the name of the book?
I have an amazing story for you. Volume 1, I think.
So why did you tell me you know the story when I started the story?
Because you changed the details. I didn't know that. I didn't hear that part of the Chaladu guy who made the girl and the guy from that. I didn't know.
Okay. All right, what are you saying? Yeah, okay, Rabbi said, tomorrow is Hanukkah. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. Tomorrow is Hanukkah, so we are starting the shir 5 minutes late. 5 minutes later than normal, 7:20, just to accommodate. There's about 10 to 15 people at daven in Hasidim. A big oil davens there, and all there is another halal. That's it. There's no tachnun, no tachnun tomorrow. We save tachnun and halal. Fine. Be'ez Hashem, we can't. You'll have to leave a little early. Okay, let's start. We are holding. Not only is it short daf, we're holding by Leimi Messiah, Daf Yomi Dalef, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 lines down. Leimi Messiah. Zog the Gemara. Leimi Messiah. What are we talking about? We're talking about if a mumar for Avodah Zarah. Okay. I'm still searching for the Gaddas. Okay. A mumar la Avodah Zarah. A mumar la Avodah Zarah. If a person has a little Yetzirah for one little thing called Avodah Zarah, the Gemara says, Ravonon says, you're allowed to eat from a shechita. So now the Gemara wants to bring a raya. Although the Gemara brought a very good proof from Yehoshaphat. Yehoshaphat was a tzaddik. He ate meat from the biggest Avodah Zarah called Achav. And no problem. The Gemara tried to push it off from here and from there, and the Gemara wasn't successful. L'chari, that's a very good proof. Why does the Gemara need another proof? They go into it. Kiva Eger says maybe the whole Isser is only Isser d'Rabbanan to eat meat from Avodah Zarah, and that Isser d'Rabbanan didn't apply in those days. Says the Gemara, Leimi Messiah, Ve'arivim Mevim loy lechem u'basar b'bakir v'lechem u'basar b'ar. It's talking about Eliyahu Novi. He had to run away, continuation of this mice of Achav. He ran away from Achav. He hid for 3 years, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu would send him meat in the morning and in the evening with Orvim, ravens. Ravens would come and bring him meat. Now, lechem u'basar. The point is the meat here. Rav Yehuda Merav, Mibei tabochi da'achav. Where did the meat come from? Achav. Interesting. Some Sefer says, I'll prove it to you that's from Achav. Where does it say anywhere Achav? It says he says because he ran away from Achav, so Achav actually owed him this food. So that's how he says. Fine.
Should have been
He had a chiyuv.
Should have been from Rizeva. He ran from Rizeva. Yeah, stolen food. They carry the kitchen.
Says the Gemara. So what do you see? You see Eliyahu Navi. It's one and the same. Her food is his food. So you see from here that you're allowed to eat from Ovid Avodah Zarah. Achav was Ovid Avodah Zarah. Eliyahu Navi ate his meat. So what's the Avi's answer? Al pi adi burshani. Because Baruch Hu said, I am going to provide you with meat. Don't worry about it. So Rashi and Tosfos both learn that it could be it was a problem for everybody else, but since HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, go eat, so he ate it. You can't argue with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to eat it. So, yeah. Heter or not heter. The Ritva learns that what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did here was HaKadosh Baruch Hu provided him meat from the one person that the Gemara said yesterday could shecht kosher, which is a vadya. That's what happened. So yeah, there is discussion, but that's part of the. Look Gemara, my Orvim. What are these ravens? Amar Avina Orvim Mamish. We're talking about ravens. Amar Le'Ravader Baramamyoni. V'Dilma, who told you? V'Dilma Trey Gavri to have a Shmayu Orvim. Maybe their name is Oirev, and therefore together they become Orvim. Although it's not so posh that that's the pshat. Maybe both their names were Orvim, because let's say if their name was Eliyahu, you wouldn't call them Eliyahu, right? So I don't know exactly how to learn. The Gemara brings a raya. It says in the pasuk, "Vayahargu es Oirev." They killed Oirev. Where Betzur Oirev, Vezeev. And they killed him also in a place called Zev. Maybe after they killed him, that was the name. Akoponim, you see that there's a person called Oirev. They killed Oirev. He's a bad guy. Doesn't make any sense that two people have such a unique name, Oirev. As the Gemara, maybe their name wasn't Oirev, but we just called them based on the place that they live. So a lot of people live in that place, so it's fine. You could say that there's two people from Oirev. Milo Ksiv Varom Yotzu Gedudim Vayishbu Me'eretz Yisrael Naro Ktana. So it says in the pasuk that they captured a naro. What's a naro? Naro's a girl that has shtei sayros. Then it says Ktana. She didn't have shtei sayros. So what is it? V'kashilon. V'kashili korilo naro. V'korilo Ktana. So it's a contradiction. So you have to say that one of those words is not referring to her age. Also interesting because first it says the place that she comes from, and then it says, okay, the word Naira is the name of the place that she lived in, and therefore she's called Naira, not Noira, Naira. In Cain, says the Gemara, if that's the case by us also, that Oirvim is the name of the place, it should say it with two yuds, not with one yud. So Tosfos says, look at the small Tosfos, Oirvim mibayilei. V'avagav d'chsiv ivrim mitzrim, v'lo d'chsiv ivriyim mitzriyim. So sometimes the Torah doesn't say with two yuds. Why are you saying it needs hasam lekelamite? Over here, where the word oirev can be confused to a bird, so the Torah should have said specifically oirviyim with two yuds to take us out of that suffix. But in another place, nobody's going to make a mistake with mitzriyim, that's a type of animal, because there is no such animal. So it's enough to say with one yud. Rashi says the same thing basically, but he doesn't explain it as long as Tosfos. Says Gemara.
Instructed to eat this meat.
Why?
He gave him permission because can we rely on the Bernstein Shvita and Echsha?
So if you say like this, if a Navi has nevuah to do an avera for Klal Yisrael, you can't rely. But if it's an individual just for him, for a one specifically to him, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him you could eat it, he's allowed to do an avera. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, spoke to him, told him. It's not loy b'shamayim. Loy b'shamayim is Torah over here. He's what about to shecht your son? you're allowed to shecht your son. It's us. It's ritzicha. Hashem says, go shecht your son. You shecht your son. He makes an exception to his Torah. He says, I want you to do it.
Avram Avinu took it all over. This whole plan of Judah. Just that Noah failed.
But he kept the whole Torah. He kept ritzicha.
Everything went through Avram Avinu's mind when he was supposed to shecht his son. So it was all over. Finished.
Who cares if it's all over? But it's against his Torah. The Torah that he kept, Avraham Avinu kept the whole Torah. It's against the Torah that he kept.
Maybe he went through his mind that this is what Akash Baruch Hu wants, and there'll be something.
That's Ratzon Hashem. When Ratzon Hashem could change.
That's what it was. Anyways, go on.
All right. Zog the Gemara Limim say Eli. So now we're trying again, going back to Rav Anan. Rav Anan says a tremendous chiddush. Somebody that is Oved Avodah Zara, you could use a shchita. I mean, just imagine that today, nowadays.
What?
You have shaykhim getting off the bus for the badats. They go into the shlachtois. You know, those guys are they just came from the church. They do have a desire. No, it's fine. Say it the gomer. It's they're just over the desire. Everything else the mamish makbid on. You do a little avodah desire in the spare time. The Gemara says it's mutter.
No.
Let him say Ele.
One case.
Just an avodah desire. Yeah. Always. Yeah. This is what they do. They do have a desire. They have a Yetzirah. They have a Yetzirah of have a desire. Yes. No. If they did tshuva, then it's not even a shayla. They have a Yetzirah. You're mumel of a desire. You have no.
Right? Fine. Say it. No matter what's in.
Okay. I'm saying it's imagine in our days what we would do. How many patchkivillin will be on the street? Okay. Let me say Hakol shoychtin. So this is going to be a little familiar to everybody because we learned this exact sugya yesterday. Just we're using it to our advantage. Yesterday we learned this sugya in Rava. Rava says that if somebody's a mummer, the dover echad, mummer to nevela. If somebody eats nevelas, you're allowed to use the shchita. And now we're going to be using the same exact shakavitarya for Ravanan. If you're mummer for avodah zara, not for nevelas, for avodah zara, then you're allowed to eat a shchita. Hakol shoychtim afilu kusi, vafilu orel, vafilu Yisrael mummers. So the Brisa brings down, you're allowed to use these three shoychtim: a kusi, a orel, and a mummer.
When we use these shaykhtim, we have mashkichim watching them. We have mashkichim, right?
But when it talks about a kusi, we said oimil agabov nichas v'yoytzei.
It's not like we're just accepting them.
Well, the orel, let's see what orel.
Your question doesn't start because it's like any Goysha company today that we buy from. It's a guy who makes the stuff. But we have mashkichim.
I didn't ask a kasha.
What? We have of course mashkichim.
We're not going.
No. I'm saying his kasha is how can we rely on somebody? It's not going to avoid a.
I didn't ask a kasha. I didn't say
kasha. What a
kasha.
crazy thing it is. So we do the same thing.
I didn't say it's crazy. I said imagine us. We're frumer than the Gemara. That's all I said. We like if that happened in our day, we go crazy.
It's like it's plenty of food that we eat is made by goyim or even a zara.
If you understand that, I have no problem. I just made a aura. And when I said the aura, you jumped up and you had a new havana in what the Gemara is saying. So what? He does it every day. That was my point.
All I'm saying is that it's mamish. Not it's what we do. It's not your thing. Imagine if we did it today. We do it today.
Not shoychtim. 5 minutes. Hey chidami. Hi Earl Echidami. Ilay Mishamesu Echov Machmas Mila. This oral, you're gonna miss a whole beautiful sugya. This oral, why is he oral? Why doesn't he have a bris milah that he's allowed to do shchita?
He didn't want to do it until today.
Because that's why I brought up the story yesterday. Exactly the sugya. That's when I brought it up. So why? What? Yeah, it's very difficult. You try. Here, let's switch places. Nachman is here. This is a world-renowned storyteller right in my face. Zokti Gemara. Hi, Oral Echidami. Ilay Mishamesu Echav Machmas Mila. Is it because he's a oines? Hi, Yisrael Mali. Very good. Thank you. Look what you're doing. Hi, Yisrael Mali. Okay, he's a oines. If he's a oines, then he's a oines, and he has no way out of it. So he's a perfect Jew. He can't do Mila. We don't allow him to do Mila. His brothers died from Mila, so he can't do it. It's a constant nefashis. Elab Shita, Mumala Arelos. This guy has one problem. As somebody mentioned yesterday, he was 8 days old. Yes, he didn't have a father. He was brought up in in an orphanage, or his father's a Rosh Merusha, didn't give him a bris milah. He grew up, now he knows about bris. He decided he doesn't want to do a bris. He's already bar mitzvah. He doesn't want to do a bris. So he's a mumar la'arelos for one aveira. Says the Gemara in the Seifa. So then what's the pshat in the Seifa? Va'afil Yisrael mumar. Oh, another type of mumar. What type of mumar? Hechidami I mumar ledavar echad. If he's a mumar to one thing, meaning to nevela hainu mumar la'arelos. So then it would be the same thing. He doesn't care about nevela. He doesn't care about arelos. What's the difference if he cares about treif, or he doesn't care about treif, or he doesn't care about bris milah? They're both averos in the Torah. Elalav, no, there's something even worse than that. Mumar la'avodah zara. We're coming to prove Ravanon that if a person is a mumar la'avodah zara, he has a shtickle yetzahara for avodah zara. You're allowed to eat a shchita. Obviously, it's obvious from this brisa that we're talking about avodah zara. Why? Because if it was talking about stam and aveira, let's say nevela, so then why is it any different than the case of a bris milah, somebody that doesn't do a bris milah? Why would the brisa say two cases? A guy that doesn't do a bris milah, and a guy that doesn't do nevela, and a guy that doesn't do treifa, and a guy that eats chametz on Pesach. They're all the same. Obviously, it's coming to say a guy that doesn't do bris milah, that's one category. Then there's a much higher category, the worst of the worst. The three chamuros is avodah zara. It's a different category. And it says that you're allowed to eat his meat. And that's a good proof to Ravanon. You're allowed to eat his meat. No, maybe somebody that's the worst of the worst avodah zara. No, it's different than milah. And what's the svara? If you deny avodah zara, it's as if you admit to the whole Torah. Meaning that if you do avodah zara, then you're kafir in the whole Torah.
Why don't you bring the other members of to a couple of
Yeah, but is there? I don't know if there is. Where does it say that? Where does it say that if you even have a desire, you're kafir b'kol Torah? No, it's a diuk. It says kol desire kilo whatever, kilo koyas. I'm joking. It says not opposite kol koyas kilo. Yeah, there is a base here. He's right. There's a base. Check out the base. It does say it. Shekol hamoide ba ki kofer b'kol haTorah kula. That's exact lashon. V'chein hitik Rashi be'eruvin. Oh, and look what he says. Just like Hillel said, v'nusach hatfus lishna ma'al yokanok et klap yishmaya. Says the Gemara, the shekol hamoide b'kol haTorah kula. Elo mumar lo'oisoi davar. The means ukidarava. So last night when we learned the sugya, it was the exact opposite. We said maybe it's a right to Rava that the mumar is an nevela. He's a mumar lenevelas, and it's a right to Rava that if a guy eats nevelas, you're allowed to use a shchita. Says Gemara, no, a guy that eats nevelas is a terrible guy because not terrible, but he'll get so used to it that we can't rely on him for shchita. And what does it mean? It means avodah zara. Now that we're trying to prove avodah zara, we're going to say no. It doesn't mean avodah zara. It means nevelas like Rava. In other words, there's no raya one way or another. When we try to prove to Rava, we said no, it goes according to Ravanon. When we try to prove Ravanon, we said no, it goes according to Rava. At the end of the day, though, we really do disprove Ravanon, and that brisa is a good raya to Rava. Meisvei.
So what do we come out with the
No proof.
Right now, we don't have any
we don't know
lemaisa.
who it is.
Right now, we don't know if somebody that's a mumar l'avodah zara could do shchita, or if a mumar l'nevelas could do shchita. Both ways we can push off. In a second, we're going to have, by the end of the page, we're going to have. It started with Niggin.
Come on.
It's a good day from Nachman. Meisvei. It says in the pasuk. This is the second pasuk in Parashas Vayikra. I don't have the full pasuk here because it wouldn't fit on the page. So I have a ... Odom ki yakriv mikem korban lashem min behema min bakar. So what do we have here? We have a person who's going to donate a carbon. We're talking about a carbon oila. He donates a carbon. Mikem. What does mikem mean? Odom ki yakriv korban lashem. What's mikem? Mikem comes to exclude. It says, only some of you, only mikem, only part of you, Klal Yisrael, could bring the carbon, not everybody. So it comes to exclude somebody. We're going to say it comes to exclude a mummer. Then the pasuk continues, mina behema. He brings a mina behema. Wouldn't it be enough just to say mina bakar, mina tzoin? Why do you have to say mina behema? What does behema come to tell us? Says the Gemara, mikem veloy kulchem. Not everybody could bring a carbon oila. Loitis a mumar. A guy that's a mumar doesn't have a right to bring a oila, even though it's a nedava. Mikem. Another thing, we learned that a guy could bring a carbon. How do you know that a guy could bring a carbon? Because it says ish ish. It says twice ish. So it means even a guy. But in a guy, there's no nafkamina if the guy is Christian, a guy is Muslim, a guy is this guy. There's no nafkamina what his religion is and what he does and what kind of mummer he is. A guy is a guy can bring a carbon. The nafkamina of what you do and how you practice religion is only been to a Jew. So if a Jew is not such a good Jew and he's a mumar, then he can't bring a carbon. Mina behema, and so why does it say that extra word mina behema? Lahavi b'nei adam shedoimim lebehema. If you're a behema, that's where the phrase comes from. Behema, you're acting like a behema. Acting like a behema, he cannot bring a carbon. Mikan amru, mikabel karbonis mepoishi Yisrael. So very interesting. You could bring a poisheya Yisrael. A sinner is different than a mummer. We're going to see in a second. He could bring a carbon. We want to allow them. We had that for the other. What we had. What?
No Indian to be massive carbon true what we bring from a guy.
Okay, but that's something else. There's no svar in that. Yeah, that's the pasuk.
There's no
Chutz min mummer. Besides a mummer, umenasach zayin. If somebody pours wine for avodah zara, umechalel shabosos bevarhesia. And somebody that's Mechal Shabbos before Hasi. If you look at Rashi, the last line in Rashi says a beautiful thing here. And then Rashi says, "V'amachal Shabbos." Why is Shabbos so much different than any other aver in the Torah? Koifer b'masov umeid sheker shlishavas hakadosh baruch hu b'masav bereishis. It's different than all other averos. It's different than eating treif. You're saying basically by you being Mechal Shabbos, you're saying, I don't believe in the whole Ma'aseh Bereishis, and that's like similar to Avodah Zarah, similar to not believing in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hagu v'kashi, says the Gemara, Amris mikem v'loy kulchem lo yitzis hamumar. In the beginning we said that a mumar cannot bring a carbon. Then a second letter it says, V'adetoni mikam l'kabonis b'poish Yisrael, a sinner could bring a carbon. Hali kashi, reisha mumar l'kol ha'torah kula. That's a person that's completely doesn't believe in anything. Mitziyasa mumar l'davar echad. He's only a mummer to one thing. So, Ema Seifa, and what's the Seifa talk? Chutz min ha-mummer, u'menasach zayin u'mechal Shabbos v'resya. Hai mummer eichidami, what's the last mummer? I mummer l'kol ha'torah kula hai nereisha. If it's a mummer that we already discussed, you don't have to repeat it. If he's a mummer for everything. Vi mummer l'davar echad, kasha mitziyasa. A mummer l'davar echad, we said in the middle, that you could bring. We encourage a mummer l'davar echad. We wanted to do tshuva. He could bring a carbon. So then, why does it say at the end that if he's a mummer and he's Mechal Shabbos, he can't bring a carbon? So we have to say, chutz min ha-mummer l'nasach zayin l'chal Shabbos v'feresya. It goes together. This mummer, what does it mean? Mummer? He's a mummer for avodah zara. He's a mummer for Shabbos. Alma. But at the end of the day, we see mummer l'avodah zara. Have a mummer l'kol ha'torah kula v'tuyufta deravanan. This is a bam kasha ravanan. It says mefurish that if you're a mummer for avodah zara, and we prove that the word mummer means l'avodah zara because it can't mean just a regular mummer. Otherwise, we have case 1 and 2 that already takes care of that regular mummer. So it has to be mummer l'avodah zara, and memela a mummer l'avodah zara cannot bring a carbon. Can't bring a carbon, so you can't shecht.
What's the kasha?
So no, Ravanan says no, not a kasha. We have proof that Ravanan is wrong. Ravanan says that if someone is a mummer could bring, he could shecht. We don't shecht. Now that's so. What do we have? The maskana. So you asked me, what's the maskana? Maskana is someone that's a mummer l'faved zara or Shabbos before Hesia, he cannot shecht. But if somebody is even a mummer l'nevelas, meaning the closest thing to shchita. In shchita itself, he's a bad guy. He eats treif. If you give him a knife that's kosher, we're going to assume that he's going to shech kosher because when you give a mummer l'nevelos the option to go one way or another, kosher or not kosher, he's always going to go
only if it's mummer l'tiyavin.
100%. 100%.
If it's
A mummer
ideological, then the guy's
l'tiyavin. A mummer l'tiyavin that has the option, that has
If
to
the
do
guy's
both,
allowed
and you give him, and he does, and he's not lazy, and he doesn't have to be matriach.
The same thing should be for Shabbos. The Mumma L'Teilim for Shabbos also, he's not going to call it.
Right. So
No,
that's
like you said.
No, that's what Rashi is saying.
You guys
No,
like it all.
And what about Avodah Zarah? What about so a mummer Avodah Zarah is also tiyavin. They had a tremendous type of Avodah Zarah. But there's certain things.
The whole thing of the world.
Right.
This guy.
But it's a Te'abon, it's not...
Doesn't matter. You have to know when to have a
It's
title.
interesting that we have...
There's no time when it comes to rebelling against Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Physically, that Avodah Zarah is saying, I don't believe in Hakadosh Baruch Hu. I have a taiva not to believe in you, but I don't believe in you. That's a bad thing.
It's basically
Eating-
a taiva and not going against the
Right. The taiva has nothing to do with Hashem. I like hamburgers, cheeseburgers. I love Hashem. I just like. So that's a taiva. But to say, I hate Hashem, but I love Him. But the reason why I said I hate Him is because I have a taiva. That doesn't go.
We have a difference whether it's Chal Shabbos or not.
Yeah.
Where do we find such a thing? You do an affair in private, it's okay.
Oh, we had many times by the
I think
by Yehorig Val Yavar we said it's only for Shaila Befaresi, not for us.
here we're talking about what kind of person we see.
Yeah. No.
It's no good. It was like in Rashi. Rashi says that it's because he's made sheker
Yeah.
in the Hebrew. That's only Befahesya. You're only made sheker. Made means that you're publicizing.
Got it. Makes sense. Befaresi means you're publicizing it. Saying fakir. Okay. Zog the Gemara to Yufto. Fine. At the end of the story. Now, so where do I know that somebody that? Where do we know at the end of the day that somebody that's Ovid Avodah Zarah, we don't eat is hechsher? Because it says mikem. That's what the Gemara just said. Mikem. Only most of Klal Yisrael, but not everybody. Mikem. As the Gemara, V'ma'acha nafka, Mahasam nafka, Daf Yomi Beis. We have another pasuk, a whole other sugi that says a different pasuk. It says mi'am haaretz. Here, another thing. Mi'am haaretz. So again, I couldn't fit in the whole pasuk in order for you guys to see, so I had to chop off. Vim nefesh achas techto bishgogo. Talking about a shogig. Mi'am haaretz. What's the continuation of the pasuk? Somebody? Over here. And then the following pasuk immediately it says Oy hoida elov chatasoy. Not brought in the Gemara, brought in Rashi. So mi'am haaretz again, mi'am haaretz, it comes to exclude only some of the Amaratzim, only may from the Amaratzim could bring a korban chatos, not everybody. So basically, that's our mi'am haaretz prat lemumar comes to exclude a mumar. Rabbi Shimon ben Yosi Omer Mishum Rabbi Shimon Asher Lo Yisei Yisena Bishgoga v'Oshem Hashav Mi Diosoi. Since the following pasuk says Oy Hoida Elov, he recognized, he all of a sudden realized he did an avera. So that comes to say that the original pasuk, this pasuk, when can you bring a korban chatos? It's only in a case where Hashav Mi Diosoi maybe korban al shigosoi. In other words, if I tell the guy, do you know that it's also for you to eat chaylev? And he says, oi, I didn't know. And a guy like that, if he doesn't eat it, or a guy like that, had he known, and he wouldn't eat it, that's a guy that can bring a korban. But a guy that repeats his avera, even though he knows, he doesn't bring a korban chatas. Says the Gemara, so what's Reb Shimon ben Yosi saying? The first, the Tanakhama says, Prat l'mumar. A guy that's a mumar can't bring a korban chatas. Comes Reb Shimon ben Yosi says, no, it's a guy that didn't know. But if he knew, basically that means he's a mumar. If he did know, he can bring. Says the Gemara, V'amrina mai benayu. So what is the difference? According to both of them, a mumar cannot bring a korban, right? A mumar is also somebody that, had he known, he would continue doing the avera. So according to Reb Shimon ben Yosi, he would not be allowed to bring a korban, and according to the Tanakhama, also he would not be allowed to bring a korban because he's a mumar, prat lemumar. So where lies the nafkamina? He's a mumar for one thing called chaylev. His weakness is chaylev. However, he did another avera called dam, and now he wants to bring a carbon for dam. According to the Tanakama, he's a mumar for one thing chaylev. That negates his whole. He has no business bringing karbanos anymore. Even for dam, it's another avera. He cannot bring a carbon.
There's a taiba for nevela. Somebody's a taiba for.
Very good, and he's a mumar l'davar echad according to the Tanakama. Mi'am ha'aretz says he cannot bring a carbon. However, Reb Shimon ben Yossi says no. The only person that can bring a carbon is somebody that would repeat the avera again. When it comes to dam, he won't repeat the avera again. So Meili is allowed to bring a carbon. Says the Gemara. So what's the kasha? The kasha is then we have this pasuk me'am ha'aretz, and then so which one is it? Is it this pasuk or this pasuk? Is it mikem or is it me'am ha'aretz? Sorry. Is it mikem? That the Gemara said on Amud Aleph, we learn out that somebody that does avodah zarah cannot bring a carbon. We don't use a shkita. Or is it this guy? It's not for the pasuk. It's just for right and left, A or B. Fine. Says the Gemara, the two different psukim. Chada bechatos. This pasuk that we're just talking about, Ma'am Haaretz, is talking about chatos. V'chada ba'oila, like we discussed before, the second pasuk in Chumash Vayikra is referring to Adam ki yakriv mikem carbon. He feels like bringing a carbon. It's talking about a oila. Utzrichi, and each one has a chiddush. V'yashmin chatos mishum de kaparu. Chatos comes from kapar. Aval oila the doiron hu emel kabel minei. But a oila that's just a gift from him to Hashem. So maybe you should accept it. V'yashmin, there's a Rashi here. I didn't understand 100% what's going on here. So we could look at Rashi. If somebody has a good shot later, tell me. The Rashi the kaparu v'kivin the daiti lahazid the lachzor avirasoi ubaha mi yisrael mishagav lahizim kena mayne kabel minei. Halav bakar paru. Rashi says he's going to go back and do the avera. Which avera is he going to go back and do? The one that he's amazed on? Yeah, but on the dam he's not going to go back on the dam. On the chaylev he's going to go back. So I'm not exactly sure. All right, it says. V'i yashmin an oila, and if we would only say that a oila, he's not allowed to bring a oila. This guy that's a mummer mishum de lav chiyuvahu. Because it's not a chiyuv and it says zevach rosharm te'eva. We don't want to. It's a disgusting thing for a Russia to bring a carbon. Avochat. What?
It's going according to the Mandaron and says Mamar Prat Mumar. It's not going according to the
Again?
We're going according to the Tanakama that says Amar Prat Mumar.
Yeah.
He says any mumar you can't do it. It doesn't make a difference. We're talking about what he's doing.
Okay. I'm a kabel. Says the Gemara, Avachatos, the Chiyuvahu, Eimal Kabel Minei. So this is only for Mendy. Look at Rashi. Avachatos, you should take. Says Rashi, Shlei Choyte Niskar. That's Mendy's favorite line. Shlei Choyte Niskar. Right? It used to be your favorite line. Agabam, there's a musag.
He added a few things.
There's a musag of Shlei Choyte Niskar. This guy didn't have Vera. So don't say, but since he's a mummer, he shouldn't bring a carbon. No, Adrabah. Why should he benefit? Carbon costs a lot of money. He should be mechuyev to bring a carbon. Kamash Malon. So I have a chiddush and oila. I have a chiddush chadus. That's why I have two different psukim. V'chol heicha b'chsiv behema. You see, we mentioned before. It says behema, and behema. The Gemara Darshan is a person that acts like a behema. So for some reason we understand that behema is a bad thing. Boksiv Adam behema tishi Hashem. We say right Milcha Shabbos. Adam behema tishi Hashem. Adam is referring to Adam Rishon, says Rashi. If a person acts like Adam Rishon and a behema, what would that mean? They have a lot of seichel. They're clever. And yet they have a nova like a behema. Right? They're geniuses, but they don't tell anybody. They lay low. So behema over here is a good thing. It's a sign of anova. It's a sign of. Yeah, I'm working on it. The behema part, yes. The adam. Hasam ksiv adamu behema. Over there, when the Adam and the Behema go together, so the Behema takes on a chashav role. But when it's talking about just an animal, like Shvulachem Poyim Achamar, so Chamar is not a good thing. You see what? You're telling me that every time that it's mentioned the Adam and the Behema, it's a good thing. V'ksiv, v'zerati is Beis Yisrael zera Adam v'zera Behema. So Rashi brings the Gemara in Soita that says that it's this pasuk is a bracha. Because Baruch says, I'm going to give you a lot of offspring, even in the Hamaratzim, zera Adam v'zera Behema, and zera Behema is referring to the seed of Amaretz. So you see that even though they go together, Adam and Behema over here is that thing. It's referring to Amaretz. So the Gemara Osam Chaki Kra. It doesn't say Adam Behema. It says Adam Zera Behema. So the word Zera separates the Adam and the Behema, and therefore Behema over there can mean not such a good thing. Siman Niklaf. Omer Avchon Omer Yaakov Bar Idi Omer Yeshua ben Levi Mishur Bar Kapara. For those of you who are new to the Daf, these are my favorite lines because they have 3 lines worth of names. Omer Avchonon Omer Rav Yaakov Bar Idi. We can do it again. Omer Yeshua ben Levi Mishur Bar Kapara. Rebbe Gamliel Ubeis Dinoi. Who's Rebbe Gamliel? Says Rashi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. In other words, in the Mishnah we have a big problem. Look what it says. Nimnu. They made a vote. Ashchitas Kusi Vasrua. The first Mishnah in Chulin, it says Hakol Sheichtin. Everybody could shecht. The only person that can't shecht, Cher Sheid V'Katem. But a kusi could shecht. Everybody could shecht. All of a sudden comes Rabbi Gamliel and says, "We took a vote. My father is out." Rebbe, the one that wrote the Mishnah, his son said, "No, I don't go by my father." Says the Gemara, why? Because they decided, Einachanami lahalacha, it's mutter. We have to be machmer on it. Oh, maybe this halacha of Rabbi Gamliel, not Rebbe the teacher, Rabbi Gamliel, our Rebbe, because we could be talking about Rabbi Gamliel's father who was named Rebbe. Maybe you didn't hear well. Maybe you didn't understand. They came and they made a special gzeira. It was a nigza already. But they said they made it stronger that somebody, if there's no Yisrael there, then you can't eat from his shchita. You sound, Reb Zera, you sound mamash like Amaretz. How could you say such a thing? If a Jew is not there, you need me to tell you that it's also. Of course it's also. Says Rashi, why? Like we said many times. The Kusi is not makbid on the Fnei Yivilisi the Michshol, because he learns it literally. They learn the Torah literally. Don't put a stumbling block in front of a blind person. But I'm allowed to go and trick people into Averis, no problem. So how could you eat from him? If there's no Yisrael there, you cannot eat from him. Ask the Gemara, was Reb Zera okay with this? Even though he got insulted, did he accept it from him or not? I saw Rabbi Yochanan Galadar eat the hechsher of a kusi. It says on the bag, it doesn't say badat, it says kusi. He ate from it.
It's a hechsher of the badat, the kusi was the shayla.
Right. Now, it's true because Rashi says, and as you're going to see later in the Gemara, it has to be talking about that there's a Jew watching him, or we fed him a kazayis and he ate from it. Vav Rabbi Yasi ochal mishchitas kusi. Even Rabbi V'toiba Reb Zera, and Reb Zera was wondering, Lo Shmielu, did they not hear about this halacha that Reb Gamliel instituted that you're not allowed to eat? Do you have a Shmielu, have a Mikabel law? Because if they would have heard it, they would have Mikabel. Oidilmo, maybe Shmielu v'lo Kablu. Maybe they heard the halacha. Here comes the story. Don't leave now. Hadar Pashat Lenavshei. So maybe they heard about it and they were Mikabel. So then it says in Gemara, Hadar Pashat Lenavshei. Reb Zera figured it out. Mistarbe the Shmielu v'lo Kablu. It's obvious that they heard about it, but they ignored Reb Gamliel. The Sokadaitach lo Shmielu. We have a Shmielu, have a Mikabel. They accepted it. If they would have heard it and rejected it, how is it possible? No, sorry.
No, they didn't.
if they didn't hear about it, but this is the halacha, had they heard about it, they would have been kabel. In other words, this is the halacha, these Pasha didn't hear about it. How is it possible? How would it be that Rabbi Yochanan was nichshal even in the Rabbana? Right, and the Gemara is going to go into that. But there's a nice story that I heard about. Yeah, but it's going to ruin the story. Okay, fine, but you say, I'm going to say, animal of a Talmud Chacham, like we have, Pinchas Meyor, his animal wouldn't eat something that didn't have Trumas and Meisers. Tzadikim Hatzim Likoshkin, certainly like Baruch Hu is not going to bring a takala through them. Taisus has a kasha that you see that the art tzadikim that the Gemara brings a Maisa, I forgot who it was, that he reviewed, I think, that he killed Eid by mistake. He killed a witness. Eid Zayim. It was a mistake. So you see that Talmud Chacham could be nichshal sometimes. There's a few Maisas in the Gemara where they were nichshal. So Tais says, but by food is different because the Talmud Chacham will be very embarrassed by him because Baruch Hu will save him. I saw a very nice Maisa from Rav Kovletsky from Ner Yisrael. He's on a plane. I heard many Maisas, but this is one that I don't know. I remember this one. He was on a plane and he pulled out his wife's sandwich. She made him a nice pastrami sandwich, and he got up and he went to wash his hands. Famous story. And he came back to his seat and he said, "Wait a minute, it's Basa Shenisalam and Ayin." So, but he already washed. So he took a piece of bread and he ate it. So the guy next to him goes, "Rabbi, I don't understand why you're not eating your sandwich. What's going on there? You went, you got up, you washed." So he's like that. So he started pestering him. He's like, "No, I got to know. You have to tell me what's going on here. Why don't you eat the sandwich?" Finally he says, "Because we have a law." He started explaining Bashas and Islam. He says, "Rabbi, I got to tell you, when you got up, I looked at that pastrami. It looked really good. So I swiped it with the pastrami from the plane." That's the Weiser. Okay, fine. Hold on. We're not done yet. Three more lines. Hold on. The Gemara is just proving. Hold on. We're in the middle of the proof here. Did Reb Zera accept the svar or not? By Rabbi Yochanan, there's a Jew that was a mashgiach, so maybe he ate it. There is no nafkamina. According to Rabbi Gamliel, there's no nafkamina. The meat is always also. So, but if Rabbi Zera didn't accept it, so Rabbi Zera should have said the story with Rabbi Yochanan eating meat is talking about when the Jew was watching him. Elamai, there's no nafkamina. Shmamino, there is no nafkamina, so he's mekabel, and that's why he had a kasha from Rabbi Yochanan. Wednesday night, tomorrow's daf is 7:20 instead of 7.